Chris Denari, our good friend with the Pacers, the voice of the Pacers, joining us here today, live from Chicago. How is Chi-Town?
Chicago is warmer than usual this time of year. It feels like, a lot of times we're here and it's bitter cold, but not. It's rainy, foggy, but enjoyed a good meal last night. Went out to dinner with the head coach, Rick Carlisle. Had pizza at a place called Pequod's, which is, I think, if you look at their website, they're rated as the number 5 pizza in the country. Was deep dish. It was outstanding. So it's good. Second game of the road trip. Pacers got a much needed win on Tuesday night in Houston. It's been a tough road here the last couple of weeks after the in-season tournament. And so it was good to get that win against Houston. They'll try to get a win tonight here in Chicago. And then Saturday is the final game of 2023 at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, New York Knicks in town. So, I was looking at the schedule, Jim, and I've missed you the last couple of weeks because of travel. We've been on the road, getting into cities at 2 and 3 in the morning. But from now until the All-Star break, which is mid-February, the Pacers one time have more than 2 days off between games. And so you're playing every other day with a bunch of back-to-backs, have a long road trip coming up in mid-January. So this is the grind of the season in this month and a half. You've really got to put your head down and go to work. And that's why I thought Tuesday's win was very important, because the Pacers had been, staggered a little bit. And to go on the road and get a win against a Houston team that was 12-2 at home, I thought was pretty impressive.
Yeah, and Tyrese Haliburton has just been a model of consistency. He is to the Pacers what I am not to this show. He is the star. Man, have you seen a player elevate so quickly? Not that he was not a good player, but he was not an all-star last year. You didn't see him and say, "Oh, that's an all-star."
Yeah, you're right.
Now, he's an all-star.
Oh, no question. And he could be an all league player. This is a guy, he laughed about it in Vegas. He said, look, when I was coming out of high school, I was a no star. Most guys are 3, 4, 5-star. He literally had no offers. In fact, Jim, a lot of people don't know, one of his only few offers before he ended up going to Iowa State was at IUPUI in Indianapolis. That was one of his offers. I talked to LaVall Jordan, the former Butler coach, who was at Wisconsin Milwaukee, and he had been recruiting Tyrese. And then when he got the Butler job, he had to focus on retaining the Butler players and all that. And he goes, you know what? I really wish I would have brought Tyrese to Butler. But this is a guy that has become, I think, on the radar of a lot of fans now because of what he did during the in-season tournament. And then, on Tuesday, he does what he's done 5 or 6 times this year and maybe a couple of times last year. It's a tie game with 63 seconds to play, and he hits a step-back 3 to give the Pacers the lead and ultimately the win. He did that here in Chicago last year at the United Center. We're putting together for the pregame show tonight a list of all of those shots that he's hit. The in-season tournament semifinal game in Vegas against Milwaukee, hit a shot against Boston in the quarterfinals of the IST. And Jim, what's funny is he said, look, I have never done that in my life. I really didn't do it in high school. I didn't do it at Iowa State, but now he's doing it. And it's been amazing to see his growth.
Well, it's because now he's got that thing. He's got confidence. He feels it. His teammates probably feed into it. And why not? Because 33, 10, and 7 on 7 made 3-pointers against Houston and a win down there, an important road win. Any win on the road's important, but an important road win for the Pacers as they're still on the road tonight in Chicago to take on the Bulls, which would be another win that they need to pick up. the Bulls with a sub 500 record at the moment. Early on, that doesn't mean a lot, but just one of those games you want to pick up. Don't want to drop this one.
Yeah,
Keep the momentum.
Yeah, especially since they lost to the Bulls back in October. Pacers had a fourth quarter lead and sort of frittered it away. So, yeah, so there's no question about that. They're without Zach LaVine, but Bulls have played better without Zach LaVine. They were 5-14, and then he got hurt, and they've won 9 of their last 13. I mean, he's been in all the talk about trade rumors with the Bulls and all those kinds of things. So that's the one thing, Jim, that you find out about the NBA is even teams that don't have great records, they've got really good players. I mean, this is a team that has DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, and Nikola Vucevic, who are 3 All-Stars, yet here they are under 500. So you really have to be focused each and every night because I don't care who you're playing and what their record is, they can beat you.
Absolutely. Brian asking, ask Chris who the Pacers should get in a trade to beef up the D. We know that this has been a year for the Pacers to run, man, score, try to I'm not saying they're trying to outscore teams, but that has been the MO, the modus operandi is to outscore other teams. And defense is not quite there. This is a younger team. Is there a guy that they should pick up that could help with that, or just keep working with what they have?
Well, I think they're always looking to improve the team, and so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, what's happened here in mid-December, that's when you start to see teams talking. There were a lot of teams talking down at the summer showcase or the winter showcase down in Orlando, which is similar to Summer League, but it's the G League where all the teams get together and then all of the front office executives get together. They can meet in person and talk about that. But I think what happens is a lot of teams want to see what they have through the first 25 to 30 games, and that's about where we are. I think one of the things the Pacers have talked about, not just for this year, but as they look to improve in the future, is to continue to get more athletic and get a little bigger on the wing. That's what tends to hurt them from time to time from a defensive end. Why they give up so many points. If you look at where their issues are, it's defending big fours or stretch fours, guys that can put the ball on the floor, they can shoot the three, and they've got good size. The Pacers are trying to do that. Aaron Nesmith's done a really good job as an undersized player. I think he's a really good defender. Obi Toppin has size, but maybe is not the defender that you'd hoped he could be. So I think the Pacers are always on the lookout with how they can improve the roster and what type of players that they can get to bring in to make them better defensively. I will say that this is a really good group. They're very good. They're very close. They're very good together. They've got great chemistry. They are a very good offensive team. They're number 1 in the league in points and field goal percentage and assists. So you want to make sure that any addition that you make to your roster fits how the team is put together, not just on the floor, but how they get together in the locker room and those kinds of things. So I think all those things you have to take into account.
It's the break. When is the All-Star game?
All-Star game is February 18th. So we have a month and a half until All-Star weekend in Indianapolis.
That's forever, man.
Well, that's why I said these next 45 days, and you can tell me I've got a little bit of a cough, but you've got to fight through it because you don't have a lot of time off. You've just got to put your head down, and if you're a player, if you're a coaching staff, you've got a lot of work to do because you don't have a lot of days off. You don't have a lot of practice time. The games just come at you fast and furious. I mean, Pacers play tonight, Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, then the following Friday and Saturday. So, you just have a schedule that is very compacted at this time of the year, and you've got to go to work.
Absolutely, and the Pacers continue to do that as they are a young team. But I can't say they're surprising anybody again this year because we everyone got surprised last year, but they got better in the offseason, and those pieces are coming true to form. With Obi Toppin has been shown to be what we thought that he would be, a great addition to this team. What do they need to take that next step up?
Well, I think, you don't have to be great defensively, but you need to be better. And I think the one thing is
You
when
have
you're
you have to show up, right?
yeah, you have to be better. Here's the thing. When you're playing an up-tempo brand of basketball and there's lots of possessions, there's going to be lots of points scored, right? These guys are too good. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm a big college basketball fan. I watch as much as I can, but the level of play from the NBA to college is here to here. And for those watching on the video, it's a pretty good gap. And the gap is what guys can do offensively. They are so talented and can get their shot when they want. So it becomes very difficult to defend players like that. Then put into perspective, when you're playing a fast brand of basketball, there's just going to be more points scored. So as Rick Carlisle said, look, this isn't the old NBA where you put 105 on the board and say, hey, most teams are only going to give up 105 points. That's not true. If the Pacers are going to score 125 to 126, that's what they're averaging. Let's say you win games by a margin of 5, 6, 7 points per game. Well, you're going to give up 115 plus, right? So I think your mindset has to be a little bit different with how you approach from a defensive standpoint. I thought what was very impressive, Jim, is on Tuesday night when the Pacers had an 11-point lead that went away in the fourth quarter and they were down 2 with about 2 minutes to play. They outscored Houston 8-0. And down the stretch, they got 4 consecutive stops that they needed. So I think that's the mindset that you have to go into as you look at stops during a course of a game. And, some people might laugh at this, but the last 4 games, all 4 opponents have scored less than 120 points. And the Pacers have been giving up about 124. Over the last 4 games, they've given up about 113, 114. So you can say it's a small sample size, but that's a significant drop in points allowed. And if they can continue to do that, they'll continue to have more success.